Harry's wife. "I've never been happier," said miserable Harry. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. More information being provided about Harry and, of course, what he said in the interviews that have just taken place. We turn to an article, this time in the Times, by Quentin Letts, with his observations about what has been said. For almost 2 verminous hours, a designer-bearded princeling bewailed his lot and claimed he was going to have to change the world because no one else would do the job. His family had briefed against him. At the moment, I don't recognise them. Everything was Fleet Street's fault, except when it was Camilla's fault, or William's fault, or the fault of his poor loving father, whose lone parenting skills had been measured and found not up to Californian snuff. Now he, Harry, was going to act as spokesman for the world. He had alighted upon his life's mission of changing the media landscape in the United Kingdom. The 21st century had found its Canute. The scummy tide of social media was going to ebb at his very feet, just you see. The more the Duke of Sussex spoke, the more he sniffed, and the more ITV's Tom Bradby stared at his interlocutor with apparent bafflement. It was the "blimey, we've got a right one here" look a medical orderly might give a park bench crazy brought in for tests. Our setting, the ducal drawing room in Montecito, California. Sunlit yellow cushions, gold printed linen curtains, Roman blinds, an Empire drum lampshade, overlooking glass and Ziegler oriental rug. Looked pricey. The first of the programme's 6 segments was devoted to the death of Diana. Both Harry and William have had themselves driven at speed through the Parisian tunnel where their mother was killed in a car accident in 1997. Charles, telling his younger son the terrible news that night, had called him darling boy. Harry repeatedly claimed that he loved his father, but he loved his mission more. The funeral had seared him, as had a secret government file he was shown by an aide, but he did not have post-traumatic stress disorder. He felt it was merely post-traumatic stress injury. "I am not a person with a disorder," he said, as if from memory. If there was something learned about that, it had an echo at the end, when he kept claiming he had never been happier. "I own my story," insisted the man who used a ghostwriter. He sounded miserable. Bradby, Sherborne's answer to Oprah Winfrey, proved commendably more rigorous than the Queen of American Daytime. After hearing Harry's whinges about press intrusions, Bradby suggested that he himself was betraying confidences. The orange beardlet shrugged. "They've written countless books," Harry replied, suggesting that Camilla and others had leaked to the press. He had earlier spoken of the mental wall that wiped his childhood memories. Perhaps that was why he forgets that his own mother collaborated with Andrew Morton on the biography in Act 1 of this tragedy. In his husky voice, brushed with New World uplift, consonants fashionably blunted, he claimed, "None of this is done with the intention of hurting any of my family." Likely tale. He hoped for reconciliation. There's a way through it, and that's what I focused on. If Charles and William spoke to him, it will be in private, and I hope it can stay that way, unless Oprah or some other telly outfit offers him enough to spill the guts. Jeepers. This was like watching offal being scissored, fresh offal, still pretty much twitching. For all the rage against William, the person most damaged may be Harry himself. Those of us that have lost older brothers can still count themselves more fortunate than this ill-guided babbler. When my brother was dying, I wrote him a letter to thank him for being my hero and protector. Our boyhood was full of laughter. My bro was glamorous, clever, sporty, made a fortune. I was, and remain, unswervingly proud of him. It's hard to see how Prince Harry will ever be able to write such a letter. All the coronets of Christendom, all the lemons of Southern California, could not expiate such a sacrifice. Quentin Letts there, with his observations, sarcastic and entertaining as they are, being another voice to the many that are heralding the nonsense that Harry has been spouting. Let's see what people below the line think. Perhaps at the Times there might be some that rally to the support of Harry. A. Tyler: when you look at all the photographs taken of Harry before Harry's wife, he always appears so very happy and relaxed. Who knows if he really was, but certainly from the photographs it looks that way. He always seemed the cheeky prince who didn't have the responsibilities on his shoulders that William had, and he was glad of it, and in that sense enjoyed more freedom than Will. Since Harry's wife, every photograph published he looks vexed and far from relaxed and happy. And it may be media manipulation, but it seems to me his behaviour at the moment is not that of a happy man. A happy man wouldn't be interested in vengeance and knowingly embarrassing people he professes to love and care about. Well, quite simply, that is accurate. As we have said before, that he was the playboy prince, pretty much carefree, enjoying the relationships that he had, until somebody came along and told him all of that was wrong. And now she repeatedly tells him, "You're happy, you're happy, you're happy." And he repeats the mantra, "Yes, I am happy, aren't I?" And I genuinely believe that, as he has to convince himself of his own happiness that he's been told that is his because his wife has made it so. He isn't happy. How can he be happy? He's in the sustained devaluation of an ensnarement with a narcissist. And the protestations that he's happy are so that he tries to convince himself that he remains in the cult of two. William Clark: I have never seen a happy man look so completely miserable. Sood Unaim: used to be a nice-looking young man. Now his eyes appear closer together than ever, the more vitriol he delivers daily. D. Green: God, king and country. Rarely has one daft laddie so fully disgraced all three over the course of 90 minutes. Alan Crockford: I think he's shown exemplary service to himself and his wallet. For everything else, not so good. M. Evans: a poisonous column from the pen of a twisted old vinegar drinker. Sugar has wandered in. David Burns: awful column that perfectly misses the point and illustrates Harry's issue. Another supporter that has come in there. Feegold responds: the point that he hopes that his conversation with his family would be private, or the point the media enables gossip to spread? Like he was spreading the gossip to ensure lies on primetime television. This book proves that he is a man-child without a lick of honour or loyalty. What else might be said about him and the observations Quentin Letts has been made? Mike Branson: Harry's incessant whining and mewling has reached the point of being counterproductive. Whatever degree of sympathy I might once have held for him has long since evaporated. I believe that he is losing his audience, not only in the United Kingdom but also in the United States. I've worked with enough Americans to know that they don't like to hear hard luck stories and are intolerant of whingers. I sincerely hope that his business plan is falling to bits and that he and his conniving missus disappear into obscurity, preferably penury as well. Above all else, Harry should be thoroughly ashamed at monetising the death of his own mother and the destruction of his family relationships. He is contemptible and Harry's wife is goading him on. A. Rosenshine: it's a strange happiness, one that I certainly don't recognise, but he's most definitely not at peace. Lindsay Hancock's self-pity is so unattractive. The ginger whinger. Pamela Lipscomb: if he's a happy person, I never want to be happy in that way. John Hanna: a beautiful written piece, but how unfortunate that it had to be written. J. Symington: the irony of his saying that the hoped-for reconciliation would be in private. It could take place in private, but he has demonstrated that he considers anything communicated to him becomes his property to reveal to others at will. Actually, this is in direct conflict with one of Harry's wife's beliefs. She challenged a paper for printing comments from a letter she'd sent to her father. He had communicated its contents to the paper. She said that although she sent it to her dad, it somehow still remained hers and the publication of the contents was illegal. Well, yes, but that's the hypocrisy of the narcissist, J. Symington. Not a lot of support to be found in the comment section. One or two expressing some degree of support and that the nature of the newspaper is nasty for writing in such terms about him. But I think most people would recognise if you're going to put yourself out there in the way that you've done and demonstrate such hypocrisies, you're going to be fair game for some piss-taking. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.